Sup? So it's 2019, almost 2020, and I never thought this would be a topic that would be on the news or that would be happening because it's like mind blowing. That's a thing. It's very archaic. It used to be done way before. The fact that someone like Ti, who is pretty influential, I mean, he has fans. I'm assuming. No, I'm kidding. He does have fans. Just come out publicly and be like, yeah, I do this with no care in the world is kind of. So if you don't know, even though it's been everywhere, this man, for years apparently, has gone to the gynecologist with his daughter to check that her hymen is still intact. Yep, that's a thing. He admits it. He goes, yes, I go with her. I will say, as of her 18th birthday, her hymen is still intact. Now, this is a totally normal, not archaic, not barbaric, borderline abusive thing to do to your daughter, to take away her, bodily autonomy. That's totally fine. Totally fine. Now, apparently, the gynecologist told him that there are other ways that your hymen can be broken. That's how he refers to it, broken hymen. Essentially saying that could be like horseback riding, athletics, bike riding, and he says, look, doc, she don't ride no horses, she don't ride no bike, she don't play no sports, just check the hymen, please, and give me back my results expeditiously. The comment has since been edited out of the podcast. I wonder why. I wonder why he thought that this wouldn't cause outrage. Probably because everyone in his life has not said anything. His wife, I don't know how his wife can be totally fine with the fact that this man is going every year to the gynecologist with his daughter to check if their hymen is intact, when apparently he's totally fine with his son to be sexually active and it doesn't bother him at all. And it's like, okay, so it says, this article says, in 2018, virginity tests like those were condemned by 3 United Nations agencies. Wow. It says, the statement reads, this medically unnecessary, oftentimes painful, humiliating, and traumatic practice must end. The World Health Organization states that there is no evidence that either method can prove whether a woman or girl has had vaginal intercourse or not. Wow. Now, there is this gynecologist who's super famous on Twitter. Her name is Jennifer Gunter. She did a thread on She did a thread on the hymen. So I'm gonna read those out and show you because there is a lot of misconception on what the purpose and everything of a hymen is. That is such a weird word to say so often. Now, she says the hymen is leftover collections of cells that typically partially occludes the vaginal opening. Says apparently many mammals have hymens. I had no idea. Humans, dogs, cat, camels, elephants, etc. That is pretty interesting. Then she goes on to say that a hymen is more rigid at birth and provides more covering for the first 3 years to keep urine and feces out of the infant's vagina, which lacks estrogen, so it's very sensitive to irritants. Also did not know. Wow, learning new things. When most children become continent, coincides with the time the hymen starts to take on different shapes and flexibility because evolution no longer cares. That is so interesting. And I know it sounds sarcastic. I'm not being sarcastic. It says, yes, the hymen is like baby teeth. It served a biological purpose for a narrow development window, and then when no longer needed, it is discarded. The hymen is no virginity indicator. 50% of sexually active teens do not have disrupted hymen. The hymen is often very flexible. Now, what about blood-stained sheets on the wedding night? 2/3 of women have no bleeding with first coitus, and for those who do, it is usually spotting. The hymen does not have a rich blood supplies. Blood-stained sheets come from sexual trauma. Also, then she goes on to say, the hymen means nothing physically, and hymen exams are medically not a thing and unnecessary, and support a disgusting patriarchal trope. Then she goes on to share this, that the fact that this has been going on for years. And the thing is, apparently she's been liking tweets on Twitter going against her father, being like, this is so disgusting, this is horrible, this is manipulative. Like, she's liking these tweets that obviously say that she does not want this. She's not, like, she has to consent to it, but she doesn't want to consent to it because obviously if this has been happening for years, her father, how do I explain this? It's easy to be manipulated by someone who is supposed to protect you, someone who is, your father, your mother, anyone who is a caretaker in your life, and you're obviously going to trust them. And so it's just, it's so sad. And what was worse, the reason that I wanted to make this video, not because, yes, because of this, but also because there's this TV show that I watched, The Real, and they talked about this, right? And so I was expecting, the same kind of approach as the one that I'm showing you now, like, oh my god, how can this be happening, blah blah. So I'm just gonna react to it with you, but it's a doozy. It's a doozy. If you don't know, The Real, like I said, is a TV show, a daytime, and it has 4 hosts, and it usually has like a guest host, and it's Adrienne Houghton, who used to be Adrienne Bailon, the Cheetah Girls, Tamara Housley, or Tamara Mori Housley, she's from Sister Sister. Then it's Looney Love, she's a comedian as well, and then Jeannie May, and she's done also a lot of work with human trafficking, and she's also very into fashion. That is very like general of who they are. You probably recognize them because probably will. But I already saw this, but still I think it's important because it is 4 women, different types of women. Also, Adrienne is the youngest, but the rest of them, they're like in their 40s, late 40s. So just to show you the perspective and then my perspective.
T.I. was on a podcast with our girls, Nas and Nadia, who we love. And it's called Ladies Like Us. It's a podcast where he talked about the fact that he takes his daughter, Deja, who's 18 years old, to the gynecologist every year to make sure that her hymen is still intact. Now, that's a quote. If you don't know what a hymen is,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's in there, and that's usually what breaks during to the gynecologist. And a lot of people felt a way about this. So when it hit the blogs, people were like going off in the comments on Twitter.
Can I just say, I love Tamara and I love the guest, who I unfortunately don't know her name, but they're the only ones who are just like, what the heck is happening? What do you mean? And that they're the only ones who have kids. Tamara has 2 kids, and I think the guest host also has 2 kids.
And then it later came out that Deja was actually liking some comments on Twitter that were saying that he was disgusting, possessive, and controlling.
So she's not in agreement with this, obviously.
So maybe she doesn't like... She's liking the comments. I don't know what that
Let's be clear. After Mother Nature greets you as a young woman, you do not want dad involved in anything happening there. You just don't. Tempted when it happens, right? Because what if she goes and it finds out, like, okay, boom, hymen was attached. Detached. Yeah. 6 months ago. Now what do you do?
Going off from that topic that they're like bringing up, I don't understand why sex is such a taboo. Like, when T.I.'s daughter is 18, okay? Now, there's a lot of people who lose their virginity at 18, even younger. I think, obviously, I don't have kids, but I think you should be open with your child and teach them everything that they should know. Because making them afraid, making them like this, imagine every year that torture of T.I.'s daughter having to go to the gynecologist with her own father, a grown man, go get a test performed, which I don't even want to imagine how that test is, to see that she's still, like, that has to be so just horrible. I know that this just have no point, but I just can't imagine it.
I feel like I support what T.I. is.
This was the part, like, I know we all have our opinions and we all have, but when she said this, I was just like, how can you support this? Like, how can you, she defends women trafficking, and she's talked about this, and the fact that she is saying, like, oh yeah, I support this barbaric, archaic way of thinking, of acting, of just, how can you treat your child like property? Like,
because I understand how hard it must be to communicate with an opposite gendered daughter, especially in this time, and especially what he must have seen and known, of what boys are like. And for me, I was a very wild...
But she's comparing it to herself, and to how she is now grown. You know, she's a 40-year-old woman. You know, she's had life things happen to her. She's a grown up. Whereas T.I.'s daughter, Deja, imagine that being your normal. Like, you knowing, because she clearly knows that that's not right. You know, she has friends, she has family members that are, I'm assuming, do not get their hymen checked. And having to do that and knowing that's not normal and that's not something that is supposed to happen, and the fact that she is like, oh yeah, you know, you have to look good from T.I. because, you know, he knows that boys will be boys. F that. If you, a father, know that boys will be boys, then teach your boy not to be like that. Teach your daughter, look, boys will be boys, whatever that means. So just check for yourself, look out for yourself. This is what you need to know. This whole thing of like, oh, it's a little bit awkward, you know, different genders, then why do you have a kid? Like, if you have a kid, be prepared to talk to your kid, regardless if it's, like, if you're a woman, like, if you're a mom and you have to talk to your son about men issues, well, that's the thing that you just have to do. That's what you're a parent, you know. You obviously, like, if you're not prepared for that, then there are other ways, you know. Go and talk to a therapist. Go and talk to, like, school and see if they have, like, classes. Like, get educated so you can teach your child, but don't fearmonger your kid into being like, oh no, you know, you're hymen. It's
Girl, I didn't like rules. I rebelled a lot. Even my dad, who's in the audience, he's gonna cringe when I say this. He's like, my top line right there. So, Dad, I don't even know if you know this, Dad, but I know I used to sneak my boyfriend into my room. Because I had a window and I would sneak him in the room. And my dad...
Keep the camera on Dad.
You never... Okay. Real talk? Dad, we never talked about it, but I remember one time, Dad, you walked into my room when I was about to go to sleep, and I was, like, folding my socks or something, and he lifted up the blankets really quick just to check the blankets. And then he looked at me, and he just said, okay, Gong, go to sleep. And he walked away, and I was like, he knows.
Yeah.
But that's totally different. That is totally different. Okay, if you don't have that type of open relationship where you can tell your parents, like, hey, blah blah blah, whatever, you know, each parent-child relationship is different, but that is completely different. Checking your child's, you know, blankets, which is still a little bit weird, to checking their hymen. Completely opposite things. I don't know why she thinks it's like the same thing. And the comments, I left the comment, but the comments are like, Jeannie, look, it says, Jeannie sneaking in a boyfriend into her room is disrespecting her parents' house. What T.I. did was disrespectful to her daughter's body. Two different things. Just what I just said. It says, only people that can't differentiate between abuse and love are defending this. Ooh. He doesn't do this with his son. It's sexist, and that's another thing. He's totally proud that his son has sex and that he's no longer a virgin. But when it's his daughter, it's like, oh no, I have to keep her pure. What? It says Jeannie, I'm sorry, it's just we have the almost same name. So Jeannie is so wrong on this one.
If he's really doing this, because clearly he's super concerned about today's world and that everything promotes sex.
He's not... This man is not concerned for his daughter's health. This man is concerned of keeping his daughter pure and keeping her on this weird pedestal, like, oh, her virginity, like, it's like he wants to sell her for his virginity. Obviously he doesn't, but it kind of looks like that. He kind of comes off like that. I don't understand who can go like, oh yeah, this is a total normal thing. Like, everyone does this. No one does this.
Understandable.
I would just say,
What do you mean understandable? This is not understandable.
That you're concerned about when it comes to the breaking of the hymen or that she's having sex? Is it the STDs? Is it that she doesn't understand what love is? Does he need to know who the boys are? Why doesn't he trust her?
It's the innocence.
Whatever it is, he needs to speak it with her, because then she doesn't look at it as a
But this is the thing.
The fact that she is saying, like, oh, you know, if he explains it to her, she won't feel bad. It's like, no. Like, even if your dad's like, oh, by the way, daughter, I'm very concerned that you're having sex, or I'm very concerned that you're having unsafe sex. So what I'm going to do is check your hymen every year, not just talk to you, or not, like, if there's the mom in a picture, well, I'm not just going to send your mom to talk to you if you're comfortable with that, because, you know, some daughter-father relationships are totally open and cool about that, and some aren't. So whoever you feel comfortable with, go talk to them, but know in what mind is like, you know what's good? getting their hymen checked. That's logical. That's totally fine. Like, what?
What I've been reading, Lonnie's research, his son has had sex. When I read that, I said, we let the boys get away with stuff, but we're not letting, and that's the issue I have.
Oh, okay. Yes,
The boys are given condoms and told,
Right.
yes, I know you're going to do it, but be safe.
Yeah.
Right.
Girls are almost protected,
Which is
I can only
antiquated.
imagine how hard that is for a father, right? That must
But I
be
guess
so
what I'm
difficult.
saying is,
but
why not
it
have
has-
the conversation with her and say, you know what? Listen, sweetie, your body is your temple. Do you see what I'm saying?
I think he has had
that
the conversation,
concern,
but you
why
gotta-
can't he just leave it
Because
there?
he doesn't, because
doesn't trust
old
her?
school
He's
like
afraid.
that.
Yeah,
Because
doesn't
he's old
trust
school,
her.
right?
He's old school, but like old school from what? Like 100 BC? Like, who old school parent is like, oh yeah, when I was growing up, when my child was growing up, I checked their hymen to see that they were a virgin. Like, what the? It was old school when people would sell women and would sell them virgins because virgins were a commodity. Because I don't know why. I don't know history. And it's just like,
He doesn't trust the boy.
He doesn't trust the world.
Yeah, the world.
Have
Yes,
you heard
world.
T.I. talk? The prolification of the manifestation of the
hymen. I know.
hymen.
And we gotta, and Dad included, we gotta give a shout out to dads
To our dads who care.
period.
I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, but no. I think she's including T.I. in her statement of, we need to give props of dads who care. Like, that's the minimum. That's the minimum that a dad should have. A dad should always care. The fact, like, I am gonna be honest, I was a bit double standard. I genuinely thought that it was gonna be men supporting this and women going like, but seeing women like them being like, it's totally fine, he's coming from a good place. What good place? What father would do that to their child? What, like... For trying, even if it's a little crazy. Oh, it's just a little crazy checking out your daughter's hymen every year, going to the gynecologist with her, and even though she's legally an adult now, still manipulating her to do this. Yeah, totally normal, totally fine.
This is my thing. The only reason why I low-key respect this is because...
Low-key respect this? What is happening? What are you and this thing is, if you see the Lonnie, she's more, I was about to say Lonnie, she's more like, hey, double standard, her son is his son is being celebrated. Cool, got that. But Jeannie and Adrian, who don't have kids, are like totally fine about this, and it's like, oh, let's see if you have hypothetical daughters, and if your hypothetical daughters were being yearly taken to the gynecologist with your husband / the father of your kids, hypothetically, and they were getting their hymen checked. I'm disturbed.
Come on. You actually look like you care, number one.
I'm so... What? What do you mean you look like you care? About what? About your daughter's purity? About your daughter's virginity? This does not come off as like, oh, he cares, he doesn't want her to get an STD. No. If he cared about her, he would take her, I don't know, let's say to Planned Parenthood so she can learn about STDs. They would go to the gynecologist just to talk, or let her go by herself so she can ask any question she wants without her overbearing father, T.I., being there. Wow, I'm getting heated.
And let's be honest, y'all. I had old school parents that put the fear of God in me. How many people's parents told them that if you walk through the door and you've had sex and you walking different, I'm going to see it in your eyes. I'm going to know what's up.
Different scenarios, different situations. One thing is, yes, old school parents used to like put the fear in God in you and be like, I will know. Totally different than going to the gynecologist, telling your daughter to spread her legs to a gynecologist so they can check your hymen, so they can prove to your father that you are still a virgin. Totally different things. Totally different.
Maybe it isn't the actual literal part that he's trying to do, but maybe it's that he just wants to put the fear of God in her that makes her go, this is a big...
That is not healthy. That is not healthy. That is not healthy. Repeat after me. That is not healthy. In what father-daughter relationship, you want to put the fear in God by taking your daughter to a gynecologist so that she will fear the gynecologist, that she will think that this is normal. That is not normal. This is not a normal practice. This is not something that father-daughters do and go like, oh yeah, let me go check your hymen. I mean, let me go to the gynecologist to check your hymen, because that is the normal, healthy thing to do. No one does that. No one.
Deal. Having sex is a big deal.
Do you see me losing my mind? I think this video is just me progressively losing my mind. Yes, sex is a big deal, depending on what you see sex as. And yes, if you're 18 and it's the first time you're having sex, it's a big deal, because it's a thing that, like, sex is weird. But I can't.
You can do that
But
with
with
balance.
hours,
That message
yes.
never gets
Balance.
You can do
Can
that
I say
with
time?
balance.
Can I say Lonnie time?
Yes.
Okay. She's 18 now.
What I would do if I was
Alright.
a parent. But I read this girl, she shared that her dad
So does that mean that if she's a parent, that she would totally be fine with her daughter getting her hymen checked every year? I'm just wondering, just putting that out there. Just wondering, because I'm pretty sure no mom would be like, that's totally fine, normal behavior for a father to do. Totally fine.
once when she was like 7, where I say, you know what, sweetie, you can come to me about anything. I don't want you to be afraid of the truth and afraid of telling me the truth and me. But somebody might say, Miss Darlene, whatever you did a great job. I'm just saying.
Who's Miss Darlene? I don't know who Miss Darlene is. Is that her mom or what? I'm like reading comments. And it says, I'm tired of people. Did I just dislike a comment by accident? No. I'm tired of people using old school as means to be manipulative and controlling. It says, to answer Jeannie, T.I. is worried a guy will come along and do his daughter the way he did his kids and mothers, and that's the real tea. This is the most problematic conversation I've ever heard. Tam and Ava, her name is Ava, I'm so sorry Ava, are the only parents, and it shows. The ignorance of this topic is loud from everyone else. This ain't it. Y'all have no respect for other women's bodies. Virginity is also a social construct. Why isn't he checking if his son is still a virgin, which he isn't? Adrian says, I had old school parents. Did they send you to a gynecologist? Imagine saying you low-key respect abuse. Disgusting. Why do I keep saying Lonnie? Lonnie and Tamara are the only ones making sense. Cancel. I don't want to show. Like, that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like this video, I change hairstyles, I change positions every 5 minutes. This video got me more heated than what T.I. said, because the fact that they're women supporting this is mind-boggling to me. And it's so sad that Deja clearly is not consenting to this willingly. She's consenting to this under distress, under the manipulation of her father being like, I'm your dad. I'm so glad. This is gonna sound so mean, but I'm so glad that for now, the women who have these thoughts do not have kids, because I'm seriously worried the fact that they think that this is respectful, that this is a good thing. Like, no, you're not supposed to treat your kids like products, like they aren't their own humans, that they don't have their own souls, that they don't have, like, just like what Tamara was talking about. Like, you want to have a good relationship with your kids, you want them to be able to talk to you, not be afraid of you, not having to uphold these archaic way of thinking of like, oh yeah, virginity, purity, I am bewildered that this is a thing that is happening in 2019, that this poor girl has been going through this for, like, let's just say, assuming he's been taking her from the gynecologist from 14 or 13, right? Because that's like, if his son lost his virginity when he was 14, he probably was like, oh, gotta take my daughter to the gynecologist, because I am so disappointed in T.I. No, you know what? Yeah, I'm disappointed in T.I. I'm disappointed in women like this who think that this is respectful, that this is a good thing, that this is, you know, putting the fear in God, and this is like old school parenting. Like, no, like, stop defending this. Stop thinking that this is fine, this is okay. Imagine if this was, like, okay, you know what? If you can't put your feet into these 18-year-old Deja's shoes, then think about it this way. Think about if your husband was like, you know what, I want to make sure you're not cheating on me with anyone, I'm going to send you to a gynecologist every month just to check. Can you imagine? Can you? Now, if you are outraged of that, why are you outraged at a freaking father? Not like, I am bewildered. I don't understand how this is something that is going on. That this is something that people are like, oh, this is totally fine. This is not borderline abusive. How is this okay? How, like, I really, and the thing is, people are like, oh, now she's 18. That means nothing, because clearly he still has her under his finger, because this is going on for years. This is her father, and your father is someone who you're supposed to respect and love and care about, who always wants the best for you. But if your father is just a horrible person, because how can he do this to his own daughter? And you know, she's still, like, I don't know her personally, so I don't know if she's economically, like, if she, you know, has, you know, her own jobs, but she's gonna be economically, you know, with him, because, you know, he has to pay for her college and all that thing, so she's gonna still feel like she needs to do certain things to appease him. It's wild. Like, I hope he understands the backlash. I hope he stops doing this, and I don't know. And the people who are supporting him, like, get help, man. Read a book. Find new friends. Like, do something. Because I don't, like, I try to be very peaceful and, like, you know, think of the bright side. There is no bright side to this. This is, it's like, I put myself in those shoes, and I would, like, if that was me, I would be freaking terrified of my dad if that was me. Like, what type of dad does that? They don't have a loving father relationship, because how can you have one with a dad that doesn't trust you, doesn't talk to you, doesn't actually take you in consideration, doesn't even respect you, and treats you like an object, or that only thing is important to you is your virginity? Like, it looked like, I'm telling you, before it used to be to sell virgins, you know, because it was like a commodity. So it's like, that what he's trying to do? Like, I'm so perplexed. I'm like, what the heck? But yeah, this video, this whole concept, this whole thing is just so irritating to me. It really is. And I hope it's a thing that people, now with the backlash, if they do this disgusting thing, they're like, huh, maybe I should stop. Maybe I should respect my daughter. Maybe I should respect her bodily autonomy. Maybe I should do that. Like, and whoever the gynecologist is who's doing this, like, exam, even though it's medically not accurate and not, like, a good thing to do, where are your ethics? Where are your values? Is money the only thing that matters? Like, no one's talking about that too, but, like, that gynecologist messed up, man, because clearly the human, did I say who? Clearly a lot of organizations are saying that this isn't ethical, and the gynecologist is just like, I want money. So many people are wrong with this. So many people did not stand by Deja, her mom, her dad, her gynecologist. They all are bad. This is just it. This is just my... So yeah, I'm gonna leave that at there, because I don't know, man. I don't know.